So let's start the class. So, okay. Okay. So, okay. Why is it not loading? It's not loading. Okay. So, for this guy here, this pawn, right? Let's say he does some move like that. If you could teleport this pawn, this A7 pawn, anywhere on the board, any place, like any place on the board that's on the A file that currently doesn't have a piece in it, where would you put it? Oh no. What's happening? Okay, hold on.
A2.
A2. What is happening?
Yes.
Nothing. My internet is going crazy for some reason. Okay, sorry, just bear with me for a moment. Okay, let's try this. I don't know why my internet is going so crazy. It was working like 2 seconds ago. Okay, let's just try this. Sure. Okay, so it's kind of working now. Okay, so share screen here. Okay, so where would you put this pawn? If you could put it anywhere on this file, like this, where would the best place for this pawn be? So would it be like here or here, here or here? Where would it be?
H6. H5.
H6 or H5? Okay. So if it's H5, you can take, and now your rook is out. Is that good? So if your rook is out, he can just start attacking it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really, like, you can move back, but then this whole point, this didn't have any point. Like if you move back here, you can push this pawn now, and now this guy can't really go anywhere. So bringing the rook out early doesn't actually have many benefits. It's like the same thing as bringing your queen out early. Why is that bad? Well, because your opponent can just keep attacking it like crazy. Wherever you go, he can attack it and use that attack as like development. So while you're trying to defend your queen, your opponent's just thinking of attacking the queen and developing at the same time. So that's why it's bad to bring out important pieces really early. Instead, you guys said here is a good move, right? So if it's to be anywhere on this file, this is a pretty good move. Why is this a good place? Why do you guys think?
Keep the bishop and the knight from moving. It keeps the knight and the bishop from escaping.
So yeah, the bishop can't go here. The knight can't go here. So it's good to have this here because it traps the rook. Like the rook has to get out this way now, right? There's no way he can get out using this file.
But there's like a million pieces in the way.
Yeah, right? So this rook is trapped for now, whereas your rook is a little bit more free. This guy's trapped, this guy's trapped, so everything's kind of like, you know, squished. Another thing is, let's say he manages to bring out 2 of his pieces. Is it safe for him to castle like this now? It's not really that safe, huh? Like, what if you put your bishop here? And now it's just really dangerous. Or if you can ever, like, if this is the case, then he's just lost the game because there's almost no way to defend that square, right? Like, this is checkmate in 1. Even if he comes here to protect this square, There's a bishop back here, so you can just checkmate all the way here. So what I'm trying to say is these end pawns, like the rook pawns is what we call them. These rook pawns, there's two places they belong. They either belong, I'll show you the second one later, but the first one is they belong at the very end, like as far as you can push them. So in the 6th rank is usually where. The reason is, 1, it squishes them, 2, it doesn't let them castle, 3, it traps the rook, all these great reasons. But also, let's say in the end game, you end up, like these guys, since they're always here, they're here, no one's going to touch them. They're too protected. Usually the game will end up happening some other place. So what would happen is, in the end game, all the other pieces will be gone. And more likely than not, the rook pawns will actually remain. Okay, and so if you have them much further pushed, it's just much better for you because this is much closer to becoming a queen than this guy. So the opponent just starts getting really scared. So for example, let me show you this game. Okay, so in this game, okay, so right away, this is the situation. So all of white's pieces right here are in this corner. This rook is behind this pawn and this knight, so he can't go anywhere. This knight is just right here. This bishop. So what I'm trying to say is, if you can get this pawn over here, it would really, really mess with him. He would really have nothing to do. Okay? It would really trap his pieces. So that's exactly what you end up doing. You just push this pawn, and then eventually you can push it all the way to the end. And now his bishop's trapped. His queen is behind the bishop. His rook can't go anywhere. So yeah. Okay, let's look at this situation. So if you can get this pawn all the way to the end in this situation, what are some things that might happen?
It might get taken.
Okay.
If you even manage to get it technically, the white pawn will just take you.
Okay. So if you bring this guy up, you could start off by attacking this guy. So this guy will have to move. And then you can come up here. And if the white pawn takes you, you can probably take back later on. And this knight doesn't have any defense anymore. And also these pawns are double pawn. So they're not really that big a threat. So even in this case, even if the white pawn does take you, you still haven't, it's pretty good move, right?
Here, there's an open file. There's open file. The B file's open.
Yeah. So not only did you manage to move his knight, so yeah, basically by pushing this guy up, you end up trapping all his pieces. And that's basically what you want. If you get to the end, like here, that's also good because the end game, you might end up using him. But while you're pushing him up, you end up trapping all his pieces. Because this guy will have to move, and then once this is here, this bishop is kind of stuck here, because as soon as this bishop goes somewhere, like he's stuck behind the 2 knights. By moving this knight back, he's stuck. Now the queen's stuck. And yeah. So it's actually worth it, because you end up making all his pieces stuck, and now you have activity going on. So that's exactly what they did once again, like this. Well, he didn't take, but yeah. The reason he didn't take is because he decided not to have his bishop trapped, right? Like you bring this up, he knows that he's going to have to move the knight eventually. So he brings the bishop out so the knight doesn't end up trapping the bishop. And now when the knight moves back, the bishop is already out, so it can't be trapped. And now he doesn't want to take, because if he takes, this happens. That's pretty bad. Because if you move the knight, if you move it here, for example, take, 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 and you end up with an extra pawn. So yeah. Yeah, you could also move here, but that's just there. So yeah, that's why instead he decided to push. And now you have your pawn on all the way to the 6th rank. I guess it'd be 6 to you, 3 to him. But yeah, this is good. This is really good. Okay. So now what do you want to do? Which rook pawn would you want to push and where?
Push the H pawn to H3.
Yeah, you push the H pawn and then, okay, so let's just see what happens.
I don't think he wants to take.
No, because if he takes,
the king's just gonna be wide open.
yeah, if he takes,
and that's gonna make the other person scared.
Yeah, and then after, I don't know, you get this knight out of the way, you can bring the queen in, and then that's just super dangerous for him, right? Even if he does something like this, you can just take, and maybe bring the rook in, another knight. You just have too many pieces for him to do much. You take this pawn, check. But yeah, so he won't take. Wow, where did I go? Okay, so he pushes, and even when he pushes, you can still do stuff, right? Since basically you opened up this nice file for yourself, you can just bring all your pieces in through that path. And so the rest of the game ends up with black just getting rid of all of white's defenses. Yeah, winning. Basically, whenever you have a pawn and a queen like this right next to the king, you've pretty much already won.
Wait a second, I think I see checkmate. I think I see checkmate. I see checkmate for black.
Okay, tell me where.
So can you go back? Yeah, so like can you just say like white just makes like a random move? He just moves his knight to A6.
All right.
You just moved it. Yeah, that's checkmate.
Yeah. So in other words, he can't make a random move. He can bring this guy here. So in the game, black made a mistake. He brought this guy here. So that's to protect the queen from going here. But why is it better for black to come here instead of here? So he can choose between these two, right? Both of them protect this square. Both of them protect.
Because that's gonna be protecting the C file, right?
Okay. So which one would you choose if you had to bring your queen somewhere?
The knight is protecting the queen. The knight is protecting the queen.
But there's really nothing that can attack the queen.
Okay. So pop quiz. If you were white and you could bring your queen here or here, which one would you do?
C2.
C2. Okay. Why? Why is it bad to go to C1 as opposed to C2?
Oh, because if you go to C1, wait, actually, never mind.
You guys got the right answer. Just why is the question.
Is it because there's a dark square bishop and C1 is a dark square?
You guys,
yes.
Wow, you guys are thinking way too complicated. No. Even if these guys weren't there, don't overthink it. Let's just simplify this position.
I see. All the pawns are I was thinking like all of the black pawns are on the white.
So let's say he comes to C1. What would happen? What do you think black would do in response to that?
Black would, the queen can skewer it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, black can come and check here. And then the king's like, oh no, I'm in check, so he has to move. And then black just takes here. Right? Don't overthink it.
So the best move is to move now I know why you're supposed to move the C2, not C1.
Yeah, because if you move to C2, he can't.
Yeah, because you're just risking your life of a queen.
Yeah, the queen isn't behind the king once you check. So he can like run away and everything's okay, kinda. You know? At least your queen is still alive. That's why C2 is better. But yeah, in the game, what ended up happening is black actually made the mistake. White actually made the mistake. So goes. And then he just says, okay, come back to C1, protect my king from checkmate. And then black's like, oh no, you don't. And then there you go. End of game. Okay. So in this situation, what would you do? You wanna push the pawn, the A, H, or A pawn, the rook pawns, in the most threatening position possible. So if his king is on one side, usually you do it on that side. You know, unless all his pieces are on.
Let's see. I have one. Push your pawn. Push your H pawn. Push your up here.
H pawn. Queen moves. What do you do now?
Keep on pushing.
Keep pushing, yeah. And then you just
Yeah,
keep
because
pushing.
since the rook is going in that pawn, there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah.
Can people write this stuff in the chats?
Okay. Okay, sure. Yeah, everyone just write your answers in the chats. Only this pawn and continuously. Oh, okay, wow. All right, there's a lot of questions in the chat, so I'm just gonna answer them. So the links, sure. Why can't you take the knight? Why can't you take the pawn with the knight? Okay, okay. So Carson, what did you mean? I guess this is way too far. I kind of missed a couple of your questions. Okay, I think Nathan answered it. So should you move only this pawn in the opening? No, 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 no. In the opening, you only actually focus on the center pawns. These pawns you move in the mid game. So after the opening, you focus on the mid game. What you want is to place all your positions in the best possible, like place all your pieces in their optimal positions. So I've already told you where to put your pawns relative to your bishops. So for example, if you have a white bishop, I told you guys put it on the opposite color. And I've also told you, like, what else have I told you? I've told you if you have two bishops, it doesn't matter. What else have I told? Basically, I'm telling you now what to do with these side pawns. You have to push them up as far as you want. With these pawns, you usually want to keep them very close. So you don't actually want them very far out. F2 pawn, C2 pawn, these two should remain close because they're the defense pawns. But the rook pawns should be pushed as far as possible because, okay. Yeah, these are not mandatory, especially not in the opening. In the opening, you should not focus on the rook pawns almost at all. But in the mid game, they can be really, really helpful. So yeah, I'm just telling you guys where each of your positions would be optimally placed. So if you could choose to teleport any of your pieces somewhere, this is where you would want it. Okay, what's your question? Non-related, okay. Ask away anyways. Okay, so what would you guys do in this position? Reset the board. Okay, which board? This one? Because I've covered a couple. Moving G pawn?
Can you go back?
Okay, here's a new board. Actually, what am
You
I
just reset it.
doing? All right, this is a completely blank board. What do you want?
Wait a second.
Are we talking about the scholars name or what?
Why are we? Okay, so we're talking about scholars mate. So like this. Yeah, this is exactly why I'm saying the C pawn should never move. So the scholars mate is a good example of that.
That's the
So,
F pawn, not the
yeah,
C.
sorry, F and C. They're symmetrical, right? So for you it'd be the C and F. For him it'd be the F and C. The F and C. Pawns right here, they're the defense pawns. So you don't want to move them at all. These two pawns right here, you really want to move them. How about moving for bishop? Standard defense. What are you guys talking about? So this is the scholars mate, right? Is it scholars or fools? If you have a white bishop, okay. Scholars with a white bishop. Okay, so like this. So are we talking about the scholars mate or what? I don't really know. I don't really know what we're talking about.
I think that's fool's mate, not scholar's mate.
Oh wait, which one's scholars again?
The
It's
scholars
queen.
mate is the queen on H5, and the bishop is on C4.
Okay,
the
I
right.
think it's
No, that's a
What
view.
is happening? Oh, I remember. So you're like talking about,
Definitely not Scottish mate.
okay, you're like talking about this thing, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
What about it?
that's
All right.
Scottish mate.
Yeah. So in this situation, this is the defense pawn. So the two guys are just attacking the defense. Yeah. If you defend it, so let's say you defend it like that. Yeah. Okay. If you defend properly, what about it?
You basically won't lose material and stuff.
C6.
And don't
This
play.
isn't a defense. It's still a scholar's mate.
And don't play. What's it called? If you didn't play knight to c6 yet, do not play pawn to g6.
Pawn to g6.
Do not
Yeah,
play.
because of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. A lot of tricks here. Before they play c4. Okay. I guess we're reconstructing the whole game. Okay, so this pawn, this queen, and then you come here. Right. Okay, just go ahead and share your screen. Hold on. This shouldn't take too long. Okay, 5 minutes. Tell me what you want to tell me. You can share your screen now. Okay.
Wait, Nathan has fishy fries?
Okay. So I can't hear you. I'm just.
So like, how do you like respond to C3?
How do you respond to c3? Like you did the move c3?
No, like one day I was playing opponent because like I know like they're trying to like defend against like this, so like they just played C3. Like after this, like I didn't know what to play really.
Just bring your bishop. Just develop like normal.
Like this.
Yeah, just develop like
Oh,
normal.
okay.
So, okay, I guess I'll just do a mini talk about Scholar's Mate. Okay, so Scholar's Mate is actually pretty horrible for the person doing Scholar. So it has a lot of tricks to it. So it's basically this, and then they bring their queen out, and they bring their bishop out, and they're attacking this twice. So they hope that you would make a silly.
What are scholars?
This is Scholar's Mate. So when they bring their queen out and they bring their bishop out, and then they're trying to attack this piece. And then if you do something silly like this, they're going to checkmate you in like 4 moves. Okay? But if you know the opening, then they actually end up losing. So usually what happens is they come here, and then a lot of people do this or something, and then they end up taking the pawn. And now you're down a pawn. Oh no, that's bad. So what's better is if you just ignore that and you just develop normally. And if he brings his bishop out, you can, if you want, you can push this now, and he can't take the pawn anymore. Or you can just develop once. Wait, no, you can't. There's a lot of things you could do here. You could defend, or you could push this up. But the point is,
Well, if you push the pawn up to d5, that's really gonna do nothing because that's just gonna be scaring the knight away.
well, if you push this up,
It's doing nothing.
The pawn or the bishop.
no, this is a good move. So if you push this up, there's 2 options. If he takes this way, you can just come here, and then he'll probably move away, and then you can just start attacking him. So this is pretty solid, like, because he has to defend here. So he comes here, and now you take, and he takes, and you take. Now you're on the offensive. Now you're attacking here, and you're just winning. If you go back all the way here, bishop here, I'm just reconstructing. If you push pawn again, like this, and he takes with bishop, then you can do this. And then when he moves back, now you can just like bring this up. And this is also winning, I'm pretty sure, because he has like no development and you have an open file. So it's okay. And then you can throw in stuff like that. Anyways, to respond to the person asking the question at all, so what they ended up doing is this, and then you did this. And then what happened? Somehow we went back here and they did this move, right? Something like that. Okay. So whenever you're up against Scholar's Mate like this, once they've retreated, they can't actually do anything. So usually what they'll do is they'll push this pawn so that you can't bring your knight here and attack this guy and this guy at the same time. And if they do push their pawn, then you just ignore it and you just develop like normal. Because they're already behind in development, right? So they can't push this up because take, and now you're winning again. So now you have much better control of the center. So you just ignore it and you develop like normal, right? Now they have this bishop trapped, this knight can't go anywhere, this knight can't go anywhere except the side. So they're totally losing. And then after that, if you just develop like normal, you'll be way ahead. And that's it. So yeah, if that's everything. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go back to the actual lecture. Can you do Holosaur's trap? I don't even know what that is. Maybe I've seen it before. I just don't know the name. Holosaur trap. Sure, I'll cover that next class once I figure out what it is myself. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Here we go. Okay. So in this situation, you would just push this pawn, right? Because there's no other pawn to push. And now he just becomes trapped once again. And now he can never he can't really do anything because even if he does this, he can never bring his queen into that file. So that file is yours and this guy's to the end. So once you trade everything off, this guy's super close to getting a queen. Okay. What about this situation?
Should you push the A pawn to A6?
Yeah. You could also do the other place here, but this is much more dangerous because you don't have enough pieces here to actually throw an attack. He has a bishop, a queen, a knight, and all you have is a bishop that's hidden underneath your knight and a knight that isn't far ahead to do any attack. So it's probably not wise to push your H pawn right now just because you don't have enough to defend it. So let's focus on the other side. Easy. And then here, I mean, this is the only move, right? And he doesn't want to ever take because this looks super sketchy. Like, it just looks scary. So even if he doesn't take, you can push it up, and that's pretty sketchy as well. So no matter what, he's going to end up dying pretty soon. Okay. Okay, so I think you guys understand this topic. I mean, there's a lot of things I could cover really quick, but let's just move on to the next. Does everyone understand that? So basically all I'm saying is your rook pawns, when you guys are in like a stalemate kind of position, your rook pawns can really change things. And where you want your rook pawns is at the very end. Okay. So do you guys want me to do like, I don't know, a whole class just on all these weird gambits and stuff? Because usually these things are just like memory kind of things. Like you memorize the first couple of moves and then I figure it's probably much better if I just teach you the theory behind the things. But if you want, I can do like a whole class just on different gambits and different openings and stuff.
Traps.
Would you want that?
I would like you to do it on all the mates.
No, I don't want that.
Okay. So, all right. How about this? How about I can put like the first 5 minutes of each class into teaching some new gambit or something, and the rest of the class is just theory. Yeah. Okay. So I guess each time you guys can tell me what to do next class, and then I'll look into it, and then we can study it together. So next class, I'll do the whole SARS trap, and then class after that, Evans Gambit, I guess, and the elephant trap. Great. You guys can just tell me all the things you want me to cover. Okay. All right. Anyways, back to this. Whoa. Okay. So remember how I said that there's two places you actually want your rook pawns on, and one of them was at the end? There's one other place. So in this situation, where do you actually want this pawn to be? Do you want it to be at the very end, here, or here? H8. Well, yeah, if you could choose H8, that would be optimal, but you can't. Let's say of these three places, which one? Okay. So obviously not here because it's not doing anything here, right? All the things it's doing here, he can come. What are the benefits of here? Well, we just covered them. Here, it's supposed to trap his pieces, and it's supposed to, in the end game, be quickly, you can get a queen. You probably can't do that anymore because he has a whole rook and a king here, right? And it's very unlikely that this place will ever open up. So this doesn't have too many benefits. What about here? What are the benefits about here? What could you get out of it if you pushed it up here? So what would happen if he takes?
He now has double isolated pawns.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. iPhone got it. It's an open file. So you can bring your rook here and capture this pawn. And now you have, like this, your rook is finally doing something. If your pawn was like this, he wouldn't be doing anything because the rook would always be trapped behind his own pawn. What if he doesn't take? What would you do then?
You would take him?
Yeah, you can just take, and he can't take back because of this pin. So he would just be like down a pawn, and then you can bring your rook here and do the whole open file thing. So everything's cool. So in other words, there are some times when you have the choice between going to the end or creating an open file. And if you think that once you're in the end, there's no way that it's going to open up. In other words, there's not enough pieces. So if there's only like a few pieces left, especially if there's only rooks left, then most likely that place isn't going to open up. In that case, you want to actually use this pawn to open up a file. So let's look at this example. Okay. All right. So in this situation, this is what happened. You pushed up, he pushed his rook, you took, he took, right? Now you have this open file all to yourself. So great. It worked out. In this situation, you ended up pushing, right? Game continued. And anyways, you sacrificed this pawn because if he ends up taking, what are all the things we can do? We can probably list them. We can take this pawn. Or if he takes, oh no, we can come and we can threaten this knight here, right? And now if the knight moves, now we have an open file for our rook. What would happen if this rook came to protect the knight? What can we do now?
Make a battery.
Okay, make a battery. Or you could just take the pawn, right? This knight is pinned. So you can take the pawn, he can take. So in other words, you sacrifice your pawn, but now you technically, if he takes, you technically have two open files. You have the H file, which is almost open, and you have the G file, which is also open pretty much. Totally worth it in my opinion. So that's why he doesn't take. And if he doesn't take, you can take, and once again, you have an open file. Once again, really worth it. if you pushed, there probably wouldn't be much benefit because I don't think this is going to open up. Like, how are you even going to attempt to open that place up? Very
Don't
unlikely.
know. Don't
Okay.
know.
Exactly. I don't either. Okay. Here,
Unless you
again, we
could
wanna open-
teleport a rook to like E2 or something.
you could teleport. We should make a game where you can just teleport pieces. If you can.
But mine is wrong. This is late. Now it's
Okay.
even
So what
further.
about here?
12:42, something like that.
12:52 something.
A pawn to like A4 or something.
Yeah. So moving to A4 would be pretty nice because if he takes, you can either move your rook here and get this open file, or you already have an open file, so you can just come here and do stuff. Fun.
你喜欢陪我小 baby 吗？
So here you can do either side actually. You can push this up too, trying to like get open files. The problem is if you have an open file and you have no rook, then it's not actually a useful open file. So that's why we focus on this side because this is where your rooks are at. So if you can get an open file here, and you actually, then you can actually use it because now your rooks are there. So that's two things that I've said. That's where you place some response. Okay. Okay. Who is making this sound? Let's just mute it. Okay. This is the last thing I'm going to teach today. And I don't think I actually have too much time. So I'll probably cover it more on the next class. So you see here where there's 1, 2, 3 pawns back to back. This is called the wave breaker. So this is specifically a very defensive position. The point is, if your opponent is trying to like come at you and break through. So remember, yeah, it was last class where I said if you have 3 pawns where one of them is ahead of the other, you have to attack the one that's in front. So if you attack like this, it'll cause an open file, right? And even if they don't take, you can push, and that's bad for them as well. That's what I said last class, if you remember. If you want to defend against that, you have to do this, the wave breaker, so that they can't push against this guy. And there are a lot of cases where you actually need to do it, otherwise you're just going to end up losing the game. So in this situation, what would happen if he didn't do this move? So let's say he did something like this. Well, you could probably push. And if he did this, you can bring your rook in. And then he can't really defend that place anymore, can he? He can do some silly moves. And then now he's actually in a very dark place. He has an open file and you have a rook over here. So now you manage to do a counterattack. Instead, if you just push this pawn up, there's no way you can get through anymore. So I want to just show you what would happen if, so yeah, this is the same thing. You're trying to break through, they won't let you. It's pretty common sense. Okay. So in this situation, what do you think you should do? So black just made this pawn up. What would you do? Well, okay. So this pawn is just planning to come here, and then once you take, he can take back, and now this is dangerous, right? So you don't want that. So you don't want this pawn to be pushed, so you just do this.
You can.
Let me just show you what would happen if you don't use the wave breaker. So in this situation, let's say you bring your queen back, and now the queen is attacking this pawn as well. And he manages to push his pawn. Great. You have two choices. You can take or not take. If you take, then he takes here. And that's bad.
You can also push.
Okay. Push what? Like this pawn?
Push the G pawn.
Push, yeah, push this pawn. All right. Let's see why that's bad. Okay. So push the G pawn. What do you think he would do?
He wouldn't take it because he might see that your queen is guarding the pawn. I don't think he would take.
No, he wouldn't take it. So what would you do? Let's switch the game up. Let's say your opponent just pushed the pawn. What would you do with this pawn?
I would push my pawn. I'll push the H pawn.
So you can push the H pawn, and now he can attack it with these two, right? So before you push, you would probably take this knight, because if you push it right now, he has two attackers, and you only have one defender. So what would actually happen is you would take the knight, he would take back, and then you can push. And now this bishop has
It's kind of stuck.
Yeah, and now this looks very, very bad for him, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, you can even bring this up. But the point is, this is all the way to the end, which is blech. And this is not being supported by anything except a bishop. And I guess a queen. But the point is, this is not looking good. Your queen looks much more defended. Now you bring your knight up, and then...
Wait, the tournament's about to start.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll cover more of the wave breaker next week. Okay, I'll be around for the next 15 minutes if you guys have any questions. But other than that, just go and enjoy your tournament. I'll cover the rest next week.
Hang on, guys. About to start.